Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us for one more day, one more hour. We are going to have a great show today, Shannon, aren't we?
Of course we are. Don't we always have great shows? But certain ones, we do bring in a larger scope of an audience, which is always great. So do call in if you feel so inspired to share your point of view or opinion. That number, of course, is 713-526-5738.
Absolutamente, absolutamente. We're going to have a great show today. Guess what? First of all, I forgot to ask you, how was your week?
It's been a good week. I can't complain.
Yeah, I know. I saw you in some posts saying, look, she's having a good time on her time off. Is that great or what?
Well, weekends are meant for relaxation and enjoying what's going on in our great big city out there, right?
Well, we have two people in this studio with us. They don't know about anything called relaxation. They are so busy all of the times, but
they like organizing. They believe in and it takes a lot of initiative and planning to pull people together, right, guys?
Perseverance.
Oh, that's
is that right?
That's
or
the
what?
important P word.
Absolutely.
Perseverance.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. No comment from there. But we'll go on. We're going to have a great show today, folks. Today, the title of the show is what? Naomi Klein is right. Trump victory, partially progressives' fault. And the question is, how do we win again? Anyhow, folks, guess what? Right after the election, Naomi Klein wrote a prescient piece that still holds true today. We can blame just about everything, including the Russians, voter suppression, Comey, and more Clinton's loss and all that good stuff. We would be right, but it should not have to come down to a close election, especially when running against the character Clinton ran against. Today, it is not about rehashing. It is about ensuring we do not make the same mistakes. Everything tells me, however, that we're doing the same damn thing again. The plea, or this is a plea in the hopes that ultimately we don't. We have two folks in here that we hope are going to be part of the solution to make sure we don't make that kind of mistake again. We are lucky to have the president of Indivisible Houston, Daniel Cohen.
How are you, Egberto?
I am doing just fine. And we have the Actions Chair, and this is a woman who helped put on that women's march and all that good stuff in Washington, D.C. So we have a powerhouse in here. Nisha Randall, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I think given that I'm in great company, I am doing excellent. I am doing just fine. But folks, before we get to the program, I want to remind all of our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Babawi, every Monday at 7 p.m.
Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig. That is Monday as well at 9 p.m.
And then, of course, there's Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg every Friday at 3 p.m.
And then we have Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley, Marlo Blue. That is weekday mornings at 8 a.m.
And then we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
Juan Flores. That is on Mondays at 10 p.m.
Great show, man. And then we have The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by The Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Anyhow, folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find Programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic, KPFT is listener-supported radio. So please remember, we need to hear your voice. Most importantly, folks, this is community radio. This is a progressive station. One of the problems we have with progressive stations, with progressive groups and everything in between is that unlike what we see from the right, getting corporate support, we don't have that. So generally speaking, we need you to be a part of it. So we need you to remember to go to kpft.org and keep this station alive. Go to kpft.org, but we're gonna talk a little bit about that a little bit later, folks. But anyhow, check out the programming. This is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. But do you know what time it is?
So you might want to pull your mic a little closer to you, in front of you. Say this way.
Okay, folks. Again, the blog post. Naomi Klein is right. Trump partially at fault for the partially faulted for the Democratic establishment, or something like that. It goes as follows. If a party continues to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, it is doomed to failure. Unfortunately, while the left flank of the party is genuinely working the base, I see too much status quo from the Democratic Party establishment. Many continue to spend an inordinate amount of time on Trump, the man, and Trump, the Russian stooge. It is effectively the same strategy that lost Democrats the Electoral College. President Obama gave a speech in Columbus, Ohio, a few weeks before the election that was powerful yet introspective, or in retrospect, ineffective to many of the Trump voters. The video above includes the most striking snippet. So you got to go to listen to the videos. What I did is I cut out a whole lot of context out of his speech and laid it all together. Take a listen to it because it is powerful, yet because of how it was delivered or for whom it was basically ineffective. After pointing out the reality that Trump is the encapsulation of all the venom and misinformation the Republicans have been spewing for decades, President Obama said the following: "If only organizing principles has been to block progress," Obama continued, "and block what we try to do to help the American people every step of the way, so you are not even consistent anymore. You claim the mantle of the party of family values, and this guy is who you nominate and stand by and endorse and campaign with until finally at the 11th hour you withdraw your nomination. You don't get credit for that." That is what he felt about it then. President Obama also said he blamed those in the know with the Republican Party more so than citizens who would vote or support Trump. And I want people to remember that. He blames more the party than the people. If we are to get people, we have to talk to the people, not the politicians. By the same token, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Democratic Party establishment should be introspective as well. Since President Obama's election, we have seen the decimation of the Democratic Party throughout the individual states. For all practical purposes, the leadership remains the same. Is that not equivalent to rewarding failure? It is clear that the old-timers refuse to relinquish power that would allow new blood and the growth of a succession bench. Why? They likely do it because they know that those in line would be more progressive and less entertaining of the party's full embrace of neoliberalism with just a side order of progressivism. Think about that. The day after Trump's election, Naomi Klein, author of "No is Not Enough: Resisting Trump's Shock Politics and Winning the World We Need," wrote an eye-opening piece titled "It Was the Democrats' Embrace of Neoliberalism That Won It for Trump." In The Guardian, that still holds true. She said the following: "They will blame James Comey and the FBI. They will blame voter suppression and racism. They will blame Bernie or bust on misogyny. They will blame third parties and independent candidates. They will blame the corporate media for giving him the platform, social media for being a bullhorn, and WikiLeaks for airing the laundry. But this leaves out the force most responsible for creating the nightmare in which we now find ourselves wide awake: neoliberalism. The worldview fully embodied by Hillary Clinton and her machine is no match for Trump-style extremism. The decision to run out against the other is what sealed our fate. If we learn nothing else, we can please learn from that mistake. Here is what we need to understand. A hell of a lot of people are in pain under neoliberal policies of deregulation, privatization, austerity, and corporate trade. Their living standards have declined precipitously. They have lost jobs, they have lost pensions, they have lost much of the safety net that used to make those losses less frightening. They see the future for their kids even worse than their precarious present. At the same time, they have witnessed the rise of the Davos class, a hyper-connected network of banking and tech billionaires, elected leaders who are awfully cozy with those interests, and Hollywood celebrities who make the whole thing seem unbearably glamorous. Success is a party to which they were not invited, and they know in their hearts that this rising wealth and power is something directly connected to their growing debts and powerlessness. Now, that's what she said. Naomi Klein does not try to discount that racism, misogyny, sexism, and xenophobia used in Trump's message worked. It is that this most carnal form of hate was effective because the groundwork was laid out to make it so. And until the Democratic establishment changes its modus operandi, nothing at all, absolutely nothing will change. Until the Democratic Party establishment become less corporatist and develop a message in a form that one can sell and one that is immune to Republican fallacies, nothing will change. The 2018 blue wave that many are hoping for will remain wishful thinking. We spoke about that couple of weeks ago. A lot of folks expect a blue wave. Folks, I'm telling you, Montana showed you something. Kansas showed you something. Let's see what happens with Ossoff in Georgia. That's going to be a very important bellwether for us to look at. Continuing, Salon Andrew O'Heir hits the nail on the head in his recent article, Wake Up Liberals, there will be no 2018 blue wave, no Democratic majority, and no impeachment that every progressive should read. He ends with a prescient message, and this message folks should really heed. This is what he said. I have previously argued that the Democratic Party civil war was unavoidable and has been a long time coming. Like most people, I assumed it would play out under President Hillary Clinton, not with the party reeling in defeat and at its historic low ebb. In the face of a national emergency, maybe Democrats will find some medium-term way to bridge the gulf between pro-business liberal coalitions politics and social democratic vision of major structural reform and economic justice. Whoever the hell they nominate for president in 2020 will have to pretend to do that anyway. But right now, the Democratic Party has no clear sense of mission and no coherent national message, except that it is not the party of Donald Trump. I can understand the appeal of that message, the longing for a return to normalcy, calm, and order that it embodies. What we learned in Montana this week and will likely learn in Georgia and learn again in 2018 midterms is that this is not enough. There is no normal state we can return to. For the Trump resistance to have meaning, it must be more than the handmaiden or enabler of a political party that has lost its power, lost its voice, and lost its way. Electoral victories will come and go, but we should have learned by now that they are never sufficient in themselves. Rebuilding and redeeming American democracy, if that can be accomplished, it's a much bigger job, and there are no shortcuts. Close quote. So, what are progressives who use the Democratic Party as their transport to do? Here is the reality. Most Americans support most of the policies of the Democratic platform, a very progressive platform. And trust me, when we went out there fighting on the platforms committee with Sanders and the other crews, that's what the hell was done for that platform. We made sure that platform had a whole lot of progressivity in there. Secondly, most Americans support most of the policies of the Democratic platform, a very progressive platform. We need to unabashedly promote our values directly from activists and party operatives alike. As more Americans hear our message untamed and unfiltered, away from the sect within the party that attempts to temper its progressivity, the party base will grow, insulating us for the most part, from the country's electoral college defect. But it seems most progressives are not into party machinations. If our intent is to get progressive victories within the Democratic Party, one has to embrace the party for all that it is worth and work from within, as viruses do. And you know what viruses do, right? They replicate. They replicate. So, folks, replicate progressives within the party by becoming precinct chairs, where in the long run, you take control of the party apparatus, county by county, state by state. And guess what? Eventually the country. It is not a fast process. But if we do that as we work to grow the movement, success will definitely be ours. Folks, the telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, that number 713-526-5738. Don't forget to give us a call. And we have two special guests in this studio here who make everything that you heard in that prose. These guys are going to make sure is wrong. They're going to make sure that we are not going to repeat the mistakes that we did before. Is that correct, Senor Daniel Cohen, president of Indivisible Houston?
That's correct. It's 100% correct.
It's 100% correct. And I think groups like Indivisible are very important, right? Because what they're doing is they're bringing awareness to people as far as what's occurring in our body politic. And they're teaching people how to actually be a part. Just speaking earlier today, I spoke to a person who said, I'm really not interested in politics. And it's like, so what are you saying? But finally, at the end of the conversation, she was. And that is what I like about what you guys do at Indivisible. You bring politics home for everybody. And I think you have something special that you're going to be doing this weekend to bring it home to people.
We do. It's the March for Truth. It's going to be taking place 6 p.m. on Saturday at Elizabeth Baldwin Park. Nisha's been putting together a lot of this stuff. I tip my hat to her and a lot of the organizing and action that's taken place and putting this all together. So I'd like to let her kind of unpack it.
Miss Action Chair of Indivisible Houston, tell us a little bit about this.
The March for Truth, is a actual national movement.
Mm-hmm.
There's a national action happening on Saturday, June 3rd in 140 cities across the United States and a couple in Europe and in South America. And cities from DC to Seattle are all having these actions where they are demanding things, these 5 principles that, but mostly it's to demand a independent investigation into the Trump-Russia connection.
Mm-hmm. Now, and so what is it going to entail, and who should be there?
Anybody who is concerned about what is going on in Washington, who believes that alternative facts are exactly what they are, alternative facts. Anybody who thinks that where there's smoke, there's definitely fire, and this Trump-Russia connection is definitely that.
Now, let me ask you a question. In my prose, I mentioned about our concentration on Russia a whole lot, right? Give the folks that are listening why. I know we're not going to forget about healthcare. We're not going to forget about all these other issues. Why is Russia important?
Russia is important because our administration has possibly colluded with another country to fix the election. Mm-hmm. There's so much that we don't know that isn't being brought to the surface, and the American people demand or really are owed an explanation into what is all going on.
Absolutely so. And actually, I think if we don't get that explanation, the country is actually at risk, right? From a security standpoint, we don't know.
Of course.
Daniel?
Well, the contrast between what's going on in America right now and what we're discussing with the March for Truth is in and of itself the reason why the March for Truth is important in the first place. All we're asking for is something that people in a free country should be should be allowed to know. And that is that our elections were free and that we have a government that is by and for the American people, as was laid out in our Constitution. If we don't have all of the facts on the elections and possible conflicts of interest and financial disclosures that are required to come for us to learn that information, then we don't know whether or not that's the case. And if we don't know the truth about this, then we don't necessarily have a democracy. That's the real contrast between the current White House and what the people are asking for in the streets. They're looking for something that's shadowy, it's in the background, and it's based on a few powerful elites who manage to rise to power through manipulating data, manipulating rhetoric, and playing divide and conquer politics. This is people in the streets simply asking for a democratic check and balance to see whether or not our elections are as they should be.
Well, I mean, you would expect that. Now, let's go to the phones. But folks, I want to remind everybody that this is a call-in show, and you have two distinguished guests here from Indivisible Houston that you may want to talk to as well. 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Be a part of the conversation. Come on in, line number one.
Hi, this is Greg, and I love listening to the show.
Thank you, Greg.
I hope one of the things that we can do as a party, as progressives in the Democratic Party, is finally have a long-term energy and jobs policy.
Thank you.
That tries to look at what modern industry, modern academia, and the modern workplace looks like. Not what it was like in the 70s. Not what it was like 50, 60 years ago. And if we're going to retrain people, including those people who are Trump voters, we have to tell them straight up that if you're going to want to be a part of this, get used to the fact that maybe the money you make will never be the same. The job you have will never be the same. You're going to have to deal with the facts that you're going to have to look at cleaner forms of energy in the environment we're talking about. And if we're a Democratic Party like we say we want to be, as progressives, we as a party have to demand from our elected leaders and from the people who want to run for these offices a long-term strategy of economic growth and prosperity that includes everybody, not just those at the top.
Let me ask you to hold 1 second, Greg.
That has to be the long-term strategy.
Greg, hold 1 second.
That has to be the long-term thinking. Not 6 months from now, not a year from now, but what are we going to be like as a society 15 to 30 years from now for the young people that will follow us?
Greg, can you hear me? Let me ask you to hold 1 second, because I saw Nisha may want to add to that. Did I see?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't Hillary Clinton spell this out during her campaign?
I thought that's what you were going to say, because I really thought that's what you were going to say. And the truth of the matter is, Hillary Clinton did spell out a lot of that. Not only did Hillary... Let me first qualify a few things before I get too serious. And Greg, still hang with me here. First of all, let's get some things out of the way. Hillary Clinton was absolutely the most qualified person running in that election to be president. That's number one. Number two, all these policies that we're talking about that Greg included and mentioned, Hillary spoke about as well. So yes, all of that was out there. Were people listening? Not really enough people. The majority listened, but not enough in the right places were listening to her. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons they weren't listening to her as well was because of the messenger, right? I mean, folks can love Hillary Clinton, but if where she needs to be loved, she's not loved, you have a problem. Respond to that, because I want you to respond to that. Yeah.
I don't know how I can really respond to that, because I love Hillary Clinton.
Right.
I think that people who didn't listen to what Hillary was saying were listening to something else that was in their ear.
Right.
And they weren't able to block that noise that was coming from whatever side that was telling them that that's not what she was saying.
And you're absolutely right about that. But I think it's even deeper than that. First of all, I want to come clean. I initially was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and when I was done with that, I became a devoted Hillary Clinton supporter. I'm taking off my hat from being the host right now, but that's the truth. The reason I preface that is, I think one of the most important things people have to realize with what occurred to Hillary was, and a lot of folks out there is going to give me a hard time, misogyny played a very deep part of her losing. America simply, I made a mention a couple shows ago or 3 shows ago that misogyny and sexism is actually more potent than racism. The fact that we could have had a President Obama and we could not have had a Hillary Clinton, when Hillary Clinton was more prepared for the job than President Obama was prepared for the job at that time, speaks a truth that very few people will want to talk about or are honest enough to put out there. But that is one of the truths I think people have to put out. Greg, before I let you go, I have to go to some other callers. What do you think?
What I would say is, as part of the strategy, there also should be some of the things that you guys have already been talking about, so we don't make those same mistakes as Democrats.
Right.
Don't assume that the voter is going to show up simply because they're angry at Donald Trump.
Thank you.
We have to offer a clear, coherent message that says, this is what we can do. This is what we're going to do. How do we fix things like stagnant wages and income inequality? That's why these people voted for Donald Trump. They see their lives shifting. They see their lives have been changing for maybe 30 to 40 years, and they don't like where they are. That's where we got to go. We got to be able to put everybody in a position where they know when they go to work, their incomes will continue to rise, that the opportunities in education that they're going to get will be better. And we also have to tell them that when you go back to work, when you're at work, your education is going to have you having multiple skills and multiple options, because your career is going to have to be multifaceted.
Right.
That's the only way it's going to succeed.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very much for calling in. You keep calling, you keep listening, and don't forget to share the station with other people.
Thank you.
Great. We, on radio, you repeat a few things because, again, you have people that are transient, go from. So please go ahead and, Nisha, tell us a little bit about this action that's going to be this weekend again.
Well, the action in Houston, like I said earlier, is a part of a 140-city action happening across the country on June 3rd. In Houston, we're going to be at Baldwin Park from 6 to 9. Instead of actually having a march this time, you guys, we're going to just stay in one place. We're going to have a rally with a couple of our elected officials, some organizers, and then we're going to have a candlelight vigil. And the candlelight vigil is going to symbolize how serious of a time we are in the history of our country and the threat to democracy that the Trump administration is posing right now.
Well, look, again, thank you for putting that all together. That is so important. Okay, let's go to line number 3 with James. Come on in, James.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Talk to me, my friend.
So I thought that, so there's the march this weekend on Saturday. I heard that it was the March for Truth, and that it's about Bernie's nomination getting stolen.
No.
That's misinformation.
And then I heard that the candlelight vigil was for the death of Seth Rich and trying to figure out who killed him.
That's just that's misinformation, sir.
Where did you hear that?
So, I don't, just like from some friends, but. Or is that not what? So
No.
Nisha
Nisha explained exactly what the march is about, my friend. So it's going to be a good march. Tell your folks to come out and be a part of taking our democracy.
But what about Bernie's nomination getting stolen and then Seth Rich getting murdered?
No, look, my friend. Look. You have a great day, okay, buddy?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right, folks, it's a call-in show. Give me a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please don't wait until it's too late like we did the last few weeks where all the rush came in at the end. 713-526-5738. Let's go to line number 2. Justin, come on in, Justin. How you doing?
Yes, hi, guys. All that stuff about Trump and Russia is all innuendo, but the WikiLeaks emails revealed that Hillary Clinton did have a financial conflict of interest when her State Department approved the sale of 20% of U.S. Uranium deposits. So, I don't understand how you can be so dismissive about that, and when there's actually no proof at all whatsoever that Trump had any collusion with Russia or that they interfered with the election. It's all innuendo. There isn't even a coherent allegation of what he did.
Okay, I tell you what. Let me get some.
Internet?
Great.
What
Let me get
someone
to answer you.
Get your message straight. If you're going to get paid to shill for Hillary like that, come on.
Okay, let me get Daniel to answer that for you. Okay?
You know, it's funny because a long time ago, anti-Semites used to tell me I was going to get money because my family was in the banking industry and we had gold in our back pocket. Then I got told that George Soros was going to give me millions of dollars, and now apparently I'm shilling for Hillary Clinton. Look, The whole point of an independent investigation or special prosecutor in government is to give somebody a fair trial. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're as abhorrent as Donald Trump. Well, you need to give me well, you should probably let people finish if you want to get an explanation. But let's back up for a second. The reason that we have the republic that we do, and the reason we have the democracy that we do, is because we have rights in America. Everyone is entitled to a fair trial. Everyone is entitled to a free, fair, and independent investigation of what's going on. In this case, we have enough information to look further into possible violations of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, because we know that there were contacts between close Trump White House inner circle people and possible Russian officials. That's what we know, which means that this march is just demanding that we look into that. And there is a coherent message. In fact, there are articles written all over the place from longtime journalists who actually know what it means to collude with the media, because they went to SPJ and they went to journalism school and they learned about all of this. And at this point, they are... excuse me.
No, that is true. Let me tell you something, folks. The reality is... I hate that you brought up Hillary and the Russian thing. I hate that you brought that up, and the reason why is a lot of this information is false information, in fact. Okay, and that's
just from primary source material from their emails.
Sir?
There's no spinning that. 20% of the uranium reserves were given to Russian entities.
Yes,
and
sir, you know what happens?
Like,
you know what happens, my friend? And please listen to me here, because you're an intelligent person. You are. Let me just say one thing about what's going on here. What happens is a lot of media outlets what they do is they spin information that's partially true, and then they put the sinister portions onto it. There's no way in living hell that Hillary would have gotten away with somehow doing something illegal with radioactive material. That's just an impossibility. And to an intelligent person like yourself, it should seem strange to you if anybody, whether it's a right-wing station or otherwise, tells you that somehow Hillary got away with somehow doing something facetious with radioactive material. That alone I don't want to say idiocy, but in its idiocy should be self-evident. Well, let me get Daniel is back. He's healthy again.
Yeah, excuse me for a second. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a cramp there, so I had to take a second away from the microphone. Look, I know the story that you're talking about, and in fact, it was covered in the free and independent and clear and free press. The New York Times covered it. It doesn't matter what people think of it one way or another. And in fact, that article did not paint Hillary Clinton in a positive light. However, in the facts in that article, and you can look it up, you can see it does not violate conflicts of interest. It was all done completely out in the open. This wasn't a back channel kind of discussion that was put together. What happened with WikiLeaks is the following. There are officials that don't want you to know certain dealings and how they are doing things in American government because it's embarrassing. And when those emails get leaked, then some of that comes out. But when there are thousands and thousands of those emails being put out with the current modern digital atmosphere of misinformation, people will then take some of the scripts from those emails, and they will turn it into things that they are not. One word that I get heard that's thrown around all the time is the concept of what they say is collusion. Except if you've ever worked in a newsroom, then you know that collusion isn't the appropriate word for most of the examples that pulled out of WikiLeaks examples and WikiLeaks emails. And this is another circumstance under which that's happening. I want to go back to the beginning of this, though, because I want to be clear about this. It's not personal or anything like that, but very commonly, a good example of a fiction that gets put out there is something along the lines of something you implied earlier, which is the idea that there are people out there shilling for Hillary in the activist circles, when in truth what's happening is elite Republican congressional staffers are lying about us and don't want to talk to us unless we pay $150 to show up at their fundraisers. And so that's why we need a March for Truth, because there is an elite circle and we need to crack through it.
And when is that March for Truth?
It's on Saturday at 6 p.m. at Elizabeth Baldwin Park. Would love to see all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling, Justin. You keep listening, and we'll keep talking, buddy. I mean, we'll talk. Let's go to line number 1 with Jess.
Hello?
Come on in, Jess.
Hi. Well, just very quick. I mean, I'm just going to take it back to basics. Do y'all remember about yellow journalism?
Of course.
Do you remember that term?
Yes.
Okay. Just very basic. long story short, if we don't pay attention to history and how history repeats itself, even if, some of the dealings may be embarrassing due to presidents. Every last president had to be on their knees, or other countries had to be on their knees in order to get something. It's a trade-off. It's just how it works. But long story short, we do need a march for truth. We are being bullied, and everything is being monopolized into one type of media source, and people are no longer becoming educated or reading books instead of the internet or the newspaper, or actually digging and looking for truth. So collusion and all that other crap, yellow plagiarism, yellow journalism. I mean, if people want yellow journalism to make them feel good because they're using certain niches or sex or racism or whatever you want to call it to put us against each other in order for the presidents or the powers that be to get what they need, we are the ones that's suffering. So all this, we're for Hillary, we're for Trump, we're for all this, that's a bunch of BS. We need to wake up, march for truth, get our truth, and make them answer and come correct in their choices that's going to affect us.
I hope I see you there Saturday, sister.
Are you going to be there Saturday?
Oh, actually, to be honest with you, I will be, tomorrow I'm getting a root canal, so hopefully I'll be all right.
All right, well, if that root canal, if you don't get those...
If I feel drugged up and I can't do it, hey, I can't do it. But I'm a teacher, so I try my best, just the tip of the law that will allow me, because we're in a litigation alley, to also instill that within my own children. So when they grow up, they too won't be zombies.
Thank you so kindly, Jess. You keep listening. You keep calling.
Right,
okay, have a great one. We're going to have to go to a break, and then we'll be up with John. And folks, there are empty lines, 713-526-5738. Again, that is 713-526-5738. Many lines open. Take care.
Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon. It's currently 3:36. Let's take a brief look at our weather around town. Scattered showers and thunderstorms moving northeast on the west and north side of the greater Houston area. 50% chance of rain before 8 p.m. That's capable of producing heavy downpours and gusty wind. Partly cloudy tonight with a low around 74, and partly cloudy Saturday. 40% chance of showers after 8 a.m. and a high near 88. And let's take a brief look at our roadways on the North Freeway outbound at the North Sam Houston Tollway. There's an accident involving 6 vehicles affecting the center lane to right shoulder. Traffic is backed up to Little York. Heavy traffic at that. And on the West Sam Houston Tollway southbound at Deerwood, there's an accident affecting the exit ramp there. An accident cleared from the Katy Freeway outbound at Chimney Rock. Traffic remains backed up to Washington. And slow going as always on the West Loop in both directions from Forness up to the Katy Freeway. That's Look Your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. And this is with Egberto Willies. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see John is up next, and John is not happy. That's my great buddy. Talk to me, John.
Good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, I just think you're being incredibly negative. First of all, I want to encourage everybody to go to the march on Saturday. It sounds like a really good march.
See why John is great,
and it's good to have people organizing this. So I really want to say that's a really positive step.
Okay, John, hit me up
your
now.
Blog of the week, I totally disagree with you, especially the sentence that says what we learned in Montana this week and will likely learn in Georgia and learn again in the 2018 midterms is it's not enough. There is no normal state we can return to. Well, I mean...
Stop. John, stop. Those are not my words.
Negative. I mean,
John?
First of all, if you look at Kansas and you look at Montana, using the two different metrics, looking at, the margin of victory just 7 months ago.
Yes.
There was a 17-point change on average. If you're looking at the presidential election, it's 17.5. Those numbers are outrageous. I mean, you just don't see that much of a change, rarely ever. And so the idea that the Democratic Party is in this chaos is just absurd.
Okay,
I mean,
John,
we have more people marching. We have more enthusiasm in the Democratic Party. You can see it in the generic ballot. Quinnipiac had a 16-point lead for Democrats. PPP had a 12-point lead for Democrats. And this is in addition to all the historical data. In the 21st century, there's an average change of 25 seats. The Democrats only need 24 seats.
Right.
Since 1938, there's an average change of 33 seats in the midterm elections. And also, there's never been a presidential candidate as unpopular as Trump ever.
And John, can I get in a second?
As they've been doing polling since the 30s.
John,
it's never happened. He's incredibly unpopular. He was that way from the day he took office, and it's only gotten worse since then.
John, you got to give me a chance to talk. Look, first of all, let me tell you, that section of the thing that you read came from the Salon writer. Okay, I didn't say that. I understand the concepts of Montana and Kansas, but here's the issue that I'm trying to get at, and why I write the blogs in the way that I write the blogs. I'm seeing a lot of complacency. I'm seeing a lot of people who believe that the blue wave is a foregone conclusion. I've seen too much of that, and what I want to do is to make sure that people stay on their toes, because what happens is there's one thing with progressives, and we have a huge drop off, and especially in midterm elections, 2006 notwithstanding, we have a very poor record as far as what we do as far as progressives coming out to vote. Nisha, did you want to add something? It looks like you had wanted to say something.
I did, and I just wanted to say that maybe Egberto's blog was, or whatever that Salon article was talking about, was more about the party.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people are discounting the blue wave of the activists, which is
and I said
unprecedented.
So, and
okay.
I said so in the blog. That's what, when I came out and I said this is what we need to do, and then I prefaced that by saying, and the two indivisible people in this room are the folks who are doing what's necessary for us to ensure that that doesn't happen. You wanted to add something to that?
Well, I'd like to take a step back, and I would like to point out a few things. One, arbitrating the primaries is not necessarily the direction that I think that most of the strategists want to go. It's old habits, right?
Right.
And the second thing is that I will say this, that when that article entitled, like, there is no blue wave coming, right? When something like that comes out, I will notice these rhythms in the media cycle, that we'll see 5 to 10 different things pop up that are usually either editorial based or article based, and things will come to the forefront. At first it was, will they be able to sustain the momentum? And then it was, these groups need to start coming together. And then it was, all of a sudden, it's all of these critiques about what different groups and what different progressive parties and groups need to be doing in the United States. And now it's, the left doesn't have a vision, right? So pretty soon what you're going to see is that vision's going to come together, and it's not going to be about arbitrating the primaries. The vision forward has to do with open and accessible government as opposed to clouded and shrouded government. A government of the people instead of one executive thug who's at the top. Government by and for the people, and open and under our control. All information that's supposed to be public is public for all of us, and all of our private information stays in our pocket unless we're ready to take it out of our pocket. That's the vision. That's the runway. And I wish that there were more people who were contributing to the vision as opposed to writing an article along the lines of, it's just not coming, everybody.
Let me just do a short pushback on not only on what John has to say, and partially that all of that those are beautiful sounding words. In as far as Indivisible is concerned, I see Indivisible trying to get at making those beautiful words a realization. What I don't see, and this is also the premise of my blog, and that is, I don't see the establishment being your ally in getting that done. Unless the establishment is your ally, it cannot be done. Illustrative example is California. California, we had the activists on the ground, won all the necessary votes themselves to really take, I mean, if they had understood how it worked, they would know that that wasn't taking the party over as far as progressives. But what occurred in California, I don't know if you guys read of it or not, but what occurred in California is, in as much as progressives won in the popular vote, these super delegates and all of that chose the person to lead the party who wasn't chosen by the progressives. So I mean, the party has to be a part of this process, and it is incumbent upon the activists to bring those in. John, I have two other calls, but say your piece, my friend.
Well, I just want to say that I think there will be a big change in the primaries. You're going to have our revolution candidates versus centrist Democratic candidates, and I hope that the Our Revolution followers can actually. I mean, most of them did vote for Clinton, but I think it would be great if all of them would understand that you need to strategically vote, and you're not always going to get your favorite candidate. So push in the primaries for what you truly believe, and if your candidate loses, back the other Democratic candidate that's going to be almost as good and definitely better than any Republicans that are trying to cut health care, trying to make the rich richer, trying to enhance global warming for our future generations. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The America doesn't have this vision. And, you look at all the numbers, and 67 people know that climate change is real. So I mean, we just need to
I'm
get
with
to
you,
the
John.
polls and vote our ideas,
John,
and we'll win.
I'm
It's
with
that
you.
simple.
I got to get to.
We are the majority.
John, I got to get some more calls in, my brother. Thank you for calling as usual. Thank you for pushing back as usual. That is what we have when we talk about having a liberal democracy, brother. All right?
All right. Thank you.
Take care, buddy. All right, Nisha wants to add to that.
The only thing I just wanted to say is I know a lot of people think that this group of activists are, we're all about the party and that. But we are not targeting Republicans. We're targeting bad politicians. And you can be a Democrat or a Republican. And if you're a bad politician, then you're in our sights. That's what this is about.
That's a very important statement. And I tell you who that speaks to as well. That speaks to a lot of folks within that are progressives that think many of these activists are just shrills for the party, and that is so important for people to know. Go ahead.
It's remarkable the number of people at a local level who have pushed back on SB4. It's not like it's there's a split between you might say it like with the city. Yes, there definitely are people, and we know in Houston that the way things have worked have been the way that they've worked for a long time.
Right.
But there are more people than ever really calling the city and starting to turn because they see what's happening, and they want to make sure that there's resistance against the state and resistance against the federal government, and that there's municipal and local control in the great city of Houston. And that is not people are not just rolling in to the office and like joining forces with them. They are giving pushback.
Important. Okay, let's go to línea número uno. David, come on in, David.
Okay, well, I'm calling and trying to get a perspective, give you all a perspective.
Yes, sir.
America. I live in Houston. I'm a retired executive of Fortune 500 company.
You are
oil
great.
Industry. I'm 52 years old, and I hear what I
wait. How old are you?
Callers talk about is they're going after all politicians that are bad, the bad politicians. Now, I find that kind of curious that liberals that support Hillary would say such a thing, and I'll tell you why. I mean, is the position of the left that it's okay for Hillary as Secretary of State to bring in people to her office, in the White House, or wherever her office is, and meet with people that are donating millions of dollars to her family organization? Is that acceptable?
No, but that is not what's occurred. My friend,
that's my first question.
David, let me answer the first question, and then you ask the second question, because I think it's important. That is not what has occurred, and it's the fallacy that goes out there that somehow Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton, for that matter, benefited from these donations. It's a complete fallacy. The funny thing about it is the Republican Congress has investigated this over and over again and has never been able to come up with anything. And the reason why is simple. They have a real charity, unlike what we have from Donald Trump, which is a pass-through to convert charitable contributions into physical assets. Go ahead, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
You're saying that's an acceptable business practice?
It's not a business, sir. It's not a business. It's a charity.
No, I'm not talking about a charity. I'm just talking about meeting with donators that are donating to that charity, whether it's legit or not is a different issue. But to bring them in her office as a Secretary of State to donate while they're in the process and after and before donating to that charity.
Let me just put it this way, my friend, because I'm not.
You should just answer the question.
What she did, sir, was okay, and I'm not going to bemoan that.
You just said yes.
Yes, I said
yes. Up from a business perspective.
Yes.
How much business experience do you have?
I am a business person, a self-made person, unlike somebody who worked for a corporation. I created my own business. I capitalized my own business.
Like, and what the rules and regulations
I know them all.
As far as transparency
yes, sir.
and corporate governance.
Sir, let me tell you something, my friend, and this is very important. We need to really stick to issues. It's not a tit against Hillary and a tat against Trump. That's not what we're here for. Now, I heard you refer to us as liberals, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you. I'm a bona fide left-wing progressive liberal. And I love it. But what I want to tell you...
You're speaking a lot of stuff that doesn't speak to the subject.
I am speaking to the subject. I am speaking to the subject. There's absolutely nothing wrong in the opinion of not only myself, but in the opinion of the Republican Congress that Hillary did wrong. Otherwise...
Okay, so let's just stop right there.
Yes, go ahead.
So what we're saying is that the politicians have a different standard than corporate America. Because I'll tell you why. Because if there's any contract going on in the procurement stage of a company, however big that company is, but the bigger, the more stringent it gets. If the president of that company is getting wooed, taken to lunch, meetings, or other by a company that's bidding on a multi-million-dollar project, that president.
David, you're absolutely you're mixing apples and oranges, my dear friend. And let me tell you why. Because one is a charity, one is a business. Do not conflate things.
It doesn't matter what the bottom line is. Dollars are coming in. They're being donated to.
David, we can talk offline. I would love to entertain you on offline, and you know why I would love to entertain you? No, we can't do it any further here. I'd love to entertain you.
Conversation because you're about to get cornered.
No,
not really.
It's illegal in corporate America for that to occur.
David, I tell you what, my friend.
I give you more examples.
David, I gotta go. I gotta leave right now to another call.
That's what I say. This is what you guys do every time you get cornered, and you can't answer the question.
Thank you, sir.
Or you try to change the subject.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and answer real quick.
This is what the corporate mindset is to press an advantage by being aggressive and say things like "I've cornered you" when you haven't actually gotten to the end of the discourse. It was trailing off. Look, you did everything during the Benghazi investigation except for literally throw Clinton into the water and see whether or not she sank. And there were 7 times the number of people looking into that as opposed to the actual independent investigation that the March for Truth is asking for this Saturday. There's clearly a discrepancy here, and that's why we're putting together this event.
You want to add something real quickly?
No, let's just take the next caller.
Okay, let's go to Daniel, line number 4. Come on in, Daniel.
Hello?
Come on in, Daniel. You're on.
Okay, I just had a question. This isn't about Trump or Hillary particularly. It's just something I noticed. It's kind of about the media coverage of what was going on before the election.
Yes.
And my question is just, I noticed immediately after the election and ever since then, in the 6 months or the year before the election, every day there was like a black person killed by the police, sometimes 2 and sometimes 3. And in the time since the election, you don't hear about it at all anymore. And I just wonder what your thought was about. I don't really need to stay on, but
no, I want you to stay on because I tell you something real quickly. You know what? I never thought about that. I honestly
you don't hear anything about it. It's covered. I mean, I don't even have a TV. I don't watch TV, but I'm only on the internet. But I get
Daniel,
a lot. I know everything.
I don't have an answer.
And the thing is, I heard it. You heard it. It was even exemplified by the internet because it was whatever was put out by the regular media.
Daniel.
But it's either that there was some kind of collusion between, to intimidate blacks. Running up to the election. I'm sorry.
Daniel, let me tell you something, okay? I'll be honest with you. I never thought about that. you're going to have me thinking about that now. So I'm going to go figure it out, Daniel. Look, thank you for the call. Okay, my brother?
Okay, that's all.
You take care, buddy.
Have a good day.
All right, let's go to line number 2. Dan, come on in, Dan.
Yeah, you never answer that guy's question. What did Russia do? It's a flat question. Don't beat around the bush. Just answer the question.
Oh, it's simple.
What did they do?
Okay, first of all, we know what Russia did. Okay, first of all, we can look at this. We can look at let me back up because there's
Just say what they did.
All right.
Now
What
you don't
did
want a
they
free
do?
trial for
You have to listen. You have to listen, and you have to give me a chance to talk. You asked, what did they do? First of all, I wrote several blogs before this was.
I don't talking about your blog.
He-
Just say what they did. Just say it.
Again, you
You
have
can't
to listen.
say it. Say it.
Have a good day, my friend, because you have to listen, and otherwise, what's the point?
You know, it's funny is that we wound up being the ones who were defending a free and independent trial for Donald Trump. He doesn't want a free trial. He wants us to either hang him up before there's an investigation or not have an investigation at all. It's not fair.
Now, what he doesn't understand, right? What I was attempting to tell him is that I'm a software engineer. I worked with networks and that sort of thing. And what we had for a long time, and I reported on this over a year ago, is we had a server inside of Trump's office that was connected directly to a Russian computer in out of state, and it's been pinging. We don't know what it's been pinging about, but we know that shouldn't be happening. So I could elaborate on a whole lot of things that are happening that are incidental and also circumstantial, but I cannot say that this particular thing is happening, which is what we are doing now, trying to figure out who we are going to blame for these things that we know occurred. We know that our election was stolen. We know that. Now, how it occurred and who is responsible is what we're trying to find. Somebody is responsible, and we're going to find who it is. But we know it happened. It is factual that it happens. We also know that WikiLeaks has become a ward of the Russian institutions. We know that. How do we know that? Because we can look at the data and see that occurring. You want to add something, Nisha?
I just want to say that to me, as an American, that if a foreign country interfered in your election, that is almost like a declaration of war. Why wouldn't everybody want to find out what actually happened?
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's all I'm
saying. It's amazing. You wanted to add?
Like I said, it's an independent investigation. That's how you find out whether or not things happened. We've gotten multiple calls today, and you hear it as a talking point because it's a legless, strawless talking point where people say, what's the evidence that something took place? What is the actual crime? That's what an investigation is for.
Absolutely. But we're coming to the end of the program, and I want to thank Daniel and Nisha so kindly for being a part of the show today. You guys added some necessary bulk to the show as far as people being activists and going out to do something. So real quickly, what time, where?
Baldwin Park in Midtown from 6 to 9. We're having a rally. We're having speakers. We're having Congressman Al Green. We're having Daniel. We're having Candace Weber from Black Lives Matter. We're having Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee, Mike Weber, one of the who's just elected to the Pearland board of Pearland ISD board. And then we're having candlelight vigil.
Thank you so kindly. This is Politics Done Right, and I am Egberto Willis. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.